Alright, Path of Exile fans, Willie D Style back with an introduction to my non-crit Ice Shot Scion. She's level 88. Let's go over some of the basic stats real quick. So for offense, my Ice Shot LMP DPS is 12,200. My single target is Burning Arrow with almost 21,500 DPS. These numbers are pretty okay. They're not spectacular, but I think its clear speed's pretty good, and I have a lot of room to grow. For defensive stats, I have acrobatics and phase acrobatics, so my armor and energy shield are of course halved. My evasion's not wonderful, but I have the 40% chance to dodge and 30% chance to dodge spells from the acrobatics cluster. And then I'm also wearing a lightning coil and have max lightning resistance just from gear. In order to supplement my Ice Shot DPS, I use all three Heralds and Hatred. Now, you might be asking, why go non-crit? What's the purpose of that? Crit builds do really well. And that's true. Crit builds have a lot of things going for them. I don't think this character is necessarily better than crit builds, but I think it has a couple of really positive aspects to it. And is just relatively unique. So, I started this character when I corrupted this quiver and got a really interesting result. So you can see the quiver converts a total of 35% of physical damage to cold damage. In addition, the Asphyxia's Wrath quiver gives an 8% chance to freeze. Now if I were to go, I wanted to use this quiver, and if I were to go crit, then the 8% chance to freeze would be just kind of superfluous. Crits already freeze. Plus the quiver doesn't actually give any bonuses to crit, like other, like high-end crit quivers do. And I deleted the quiver's ability to give an accuracy bonus. Not that people ever really use 2-point arrow quivers for that anyways. So I decided that I wanted to get Resolute Technique. And I wanted to use elemental skills, so like Ice Shot and Burning Arrow. So let's look at my actual tooltip DPS here. You can see that I do quite a lot of cold damage and then a pretty significant chunk of fire and lightning damage from the Heralds and from gear as well. The physical damage is almost nothing. So because I do so much elemental damage, I can actually scale that elemental damage really well with either, since a lot of the elemental damage scales off of my weapon, I can scale it even further with either physical damage or elemental damage. Now, if you go to the Path of Exile wiki, or if you just do the math, you'll see that skills that convert 50% of damage to elemental, they have kind of a sweet spot of physical damage increase versus elemental damage increase, where you want, once you get twice the elemental damage increase and physical damage increase, then the elemental damage starts becoming a better way to scale your damage. And when you convert almost all of your damage like I do, then that skews even more towards the elemental damage, where it becomes better to scale 50-50. So because of that, my tree it starts at Scion and it goes into the Shadow area and the Templar area. So now the Templar area is really good because you can get another 10% chance to freeze really easily from the tree, which, since again, because you're not critting, is very important if you want to keep monsters frozen. And then it also has a lot of bonus elemental damage, great weapon elemental damage, notable node right there, great life node, and of course Resolute Technique. And then this area damage notable is really good for Ice Shot too, because the part of Ice Shot that really does the work is the cone that spreads out behind the arrow. The arrow itself and the cone don't hit the same targets, so using concentrated effect to try to make your Ice Shot single target doesn't work. It doesn't accomplish anything at all. And then from the shadow side, I have more chance to freeze and cold damage. I don't need that crit chance, of course, but the 20% elemental damage, because of the aforementioned effective converting damage, is a pretty big buff. And then, of course, some of the best life nodes in the game: attack speed, projectile damage, and then this cluster here is very important. This allows me to have some piercing chance without using the Pierce gem. Ice Shot benefits greatly from Pierce because it makes it so that when you shoot into a pack of mobs, you'll hit almost all the mobs with multiple overlapping cones of damage. So this 12,000 DPS gets multiplied. And of course, acrobatics and phase acrobatics is a staple for any evasion-based character. And then your basic just like bow damage nodes and a bit of life. Now, it's important to note that Ondar's Guile does not help this build as much as other bow builds. Because I have Resolute Technique, Ondar's Guile doesn't help against Reflect at all. However, it's still just a nice thing to have against many of the game's ranged monsters. The thing that I have to protect me against Reflect is Val Pact. Val Pact combined with acrobatics and high ice resistance, cold resistance, means I don't really have to worry about Reflect unless I'm in a minus max resistances map. For my gem setups, it's very important for any attack you have to use weapon elemental damage, because you do so much elemental damage. This scales it so well. So we go from 12,000 with the weapon elemental damage gem to only 8,000 without. Of course, having one gem scale the damage so much also allows me to use Blood Magic and Life Leech. Normally in a 5L, you kind of want them all to be, damage gems, but using the Blood Magic for pretty much all of my skills allows me to reserve all of my mana, and also it makes it so I can do half regen or 0 regen maps with no problem at all. The only map mod this character really can't do is Blood Magic, and until I get my 6L, any sort of elemental equilibrium or cold resist maps are going to present a lot of problems too. But other than that, I think I do pretty well. Let's try this map. So this map has potential to be very dangerous. I'm very worried about running into a Lightning Herald monster, Nemesis monster, or any sort of a cold reflect monster. But let's see. 77 map. Minus max res. Oh. Those firebomb cannibals are very dangerous with minus max res. Oh man, that's gonna make... So, you can see, one of the nice things about this character is I really just get to, like, stand back. I don't have to place myself in danger a lot. The Shipyard map is pretty okay for that too, because it's got some good sight lines. I want to make sure things are a little clearer around before I start that map. Now, this map doesn't have any, like, monster durability bonuses, so that's going to keep me clearing relatively quick. Oh, that's fine. There's almost no corpses because I freeze them all. Y'all see me shoot off into the nothingness like a derp right there. That was pretty good. So, positioning is very, very important for Ice Shot. And that's one of the reasons why I really like Blink Arrow. If you're shooting at the monsters and they're sort of like spread out in a line in front of you, like say, imagine the monsters were, if they're like this, then you're not going to be killing them very effectively. You want them to be more like this, or in a blob around like that. And that's when you're going to kill them the most. The most best, to use some bad grammar. Now the curse I use is elemental weakness, because you saw my tooltip earlier. I do actually I don't do only cold damage. I do a pretty good mix of elemental damages. Let me get away from them. So elemental weakness is going to make me do higher, you know, is going to be better for my DPS than the cold curse will. That's a replenishing shrine. So far, I think I've got pretty lucky with the mob spawn. There's nothing that's too dangerous with the minus max res. If I were to see grapplers, undying grapplers, I don't think I would do this map. It's just like asking to lose all your experience, because I'm not playing hardcore either. Looks like there's a... Okay, so I have to be really careful with those big mobs of cannibals. They will, if you just stand there, they will all lob a bob on you. And I'm pretty sure in this map, if they all hit me at once, I would just be dead. Staggering out the hits, as you can see, sort of lets me leech through any damage they might do. I already have level 8 Katarina. Her missions are a pain in the ass, so I'm not going to bother. Now, Blink Arrow is just so brilliant for this build. It allows you to position not only to get out of the middle of a lot of monsters like that, but then to position yourself to get the best hits. Oh, neat. I've never even had one of those before. I mean, I know it's not a good weapon, but I like finding stuff I've never found. So, since we're at the boss, I can show you sort of, this character does take a long time to kill map bosses. Oh shit. Oh man, yeah, that minus max is getting dangerous down here. So I'm also going to try to make it so that I'm shooting the boss through these other monsters, because then he's going to get hit by multiple cones, and that's going to increase my damage a lot. Now I like, you know, always keep your blink arrow up, because that's going to, I mean, you know, it doesn't double my damage, but it does pretty significant DPS. No, he's not even cursed.
My place is at God's side. Where will your journey
That wasn't
end,
too horrible.
exile?
Alright, there you go. think that was a pretty good demonstration of this character's playstyle and what I can do. Good luck out there.